we are back to the third and final installation of the Bareback pad creation drama. So there was a lot of kind of pain and anguish with this Bareback pad. I had to assemble it, reassemble it, take it apart, put it back together, sewing, all of that nonsense. I learned a lot with leatherworking in this project. Something that I knew a little bit about. I mean, I learned leatherworking in 4-H, and then I learned how to sew and put my own patterns together, so this was kind of a combination of the two of them. And I realized I spent so much time on this Bareback pad, it probably would have been better for me to just buy the one that I wanted anyway. But I did learn a lot about saddles and saddle fitting and all that, even though it's not necessarily a saddle. But since I wanted to bridge the spine like a saddle, it was basically making kind of a treeless saddle anyway. And I learned about how, strap placement and all of that can affect how a horse functions with its shoulder. And yeah, it was a big learning process. Here, I wanted to show you that all of that wool actually did fit into the seat portion of this saddle. So this was after I had stuffed and vetted the um, portion that Revan would be feeling. So the thing that was bridging his spine and the padding underneath. So I had actually packed all of that into the seat portion of it and then realized that it was just making my flap just come up on me. So I needed to anchor that seat portion down a little bit. And so I decided I had to put some holes into the lip of the seam for the seat and then attach it into that strap that you see there, that kind of, that's the billets are attached to it. So that's the portion of the saddle that the billet's attached to, and then the girth attaches to that. So that's where the pressure is being put. So if you can see, all of that pressure to hold the saddle or the bareback pad in place is nowhere near the shoulder. So you see that gusset that's in there on the top, that is to clear the withers, and then that kind of thigh roll thing that's barely there, it's just to help me place my leg to make sure that it is in an equal position while on the horse and riding. And all of the pressure of holding the saddle on is put in a, like, it's distributed in a very even way, because it's not, you know, straps coming around and through. It's straps attached to this big piece of leather that's almost the entire size of the bareback pad. So that's something I did learn about that. Saddles, they don't necessarily have that problem with pressure points, with the strap pressure points, because they have a tree that distributes all of that weight anyway. So the straps are on the tree distributes the weight, and there's padding around the tree. So that is something that I did learn. But with bareback, and this is why I made my own bareback pad, because typically with a lot of bareback pads, they're just basically a saddle pad with padding, and then they have these straps underneath of the padding. So it's basically the horse isn't feeling the padding, you're feeling the padding, so you're comfortable. But the horse has these strap pressure points around them, and generally one of the straps creates a pressure point right on the shoulder. So I did not want that. And henceforth why I designed my own bareback pad and built it. I think all in all of my materials cost about $200. And then, so many hours later, honestly, it probably would have taken me way less time if I had a leather sewing machine, but I thought in the beginning of this project, I'm like, I'm not going to need a leather sewing machine. I'm not going to be doing this professionally. I'm not going to be using that sewing machine all the time. So why spend the money for the sewing machine if I can just hand sew all of it? And halfway through, I regretted my decision the entire way. And then I continued to regret my decision to continue to not buy the leather sewing machine, because I'm so far through the project, it's fine, right? No. So, yeah, I hand sewed this entire project. And as you can see, with the underside portion of it that contacts the horse, you could see that I had to pull it apart and re-sew it. So, yeah. But here's all of that wool, and the saddle portion is packed with wool, and the seat portion is packed with this kind of strip of wool. So this wool was originally kind of spun to make, to like spin into things, I think, or, you know, use a stuffing like I did, but the stuffing is completely wool, which is exactly what I wanted. So I had to clean the leather because it started cracking a little bit. I wanted to use buffalo leather because it seemed very durable, which it is durable, but it stretches quite a bit. and it had cracked a bit. I think because I just kind of left it in the sun a little bit too long. So I knew I'm going to be stretching it a little bit by packing it, all of this wool into it. So I wanted to make sure that it wasn't going to crack on me. So that's why I conditioned it, cleaned and conditioned it before doing all of this. And that is, I think, 3 pounds of wool. 3 pounds of wool just for the seat. So it's nice and padded. And the thing is, you gotta like kind of over pad things because it's gonna squish down. The air is gonna get squished out of it eventually, and it's just gonna be like this kind of squishy mass of wool. But that's the thing, and that's the nice thing about wool. Like if you use polyfill for things, if you notice, the minute it starts getting moist, it starts to just kind of like collect together in these weird clumps that create pressure points if you're going to use it for something like this. So you don't want to use polyfill, and it creates this like plastic, because it's made out of plastic. It creates this barrier that like sweat and nothing can get through. Like heat does not dissipate through polyfill. That's why it's a good insulator for quilts. But, or like polyfill batting. But yeah, I wanted to use actual wool because if I'm going to make my own thing, it's going to be done right. So I spent a little bit more money on the petting, and there you go. And I still have some polyfill left so that when I have to reflock it a little bit eventually, probably like in the spring, I can. And I didn't show it in any of these videos. I do have like specific openings in the back of the saddle portion underneath all the flaps for reflocking the back of the saddle. And of course, that stupid Velcro I put in the front of it to reflock the thigh rolls. But I don't think the thigh rolls are going to get reflocked, so I think I'm just, because the Velcro's already failing. You know, I've only ridden with it a few times, like a little more than a few times, and it's already like open. So I think I'm just going to sew it shut and just be done with it. Because it would be extremely hard to remove that Velcro because it's glued in place. You know, oh yeah, smart me, you know. So I think I'm just going to sew it through and then be done with it. Because, like I said, not likely that I will have to reflock the thigh rolls because there's no pressure being put on them. It's just to help position my leg. Now I did redo the front of that because you can see it's kind of peeking in the middle. I had to re-sew that opening, but here's the finished product. It's not perfect. I learned a lot from it. I should have not cut that skirt portion that separates the saddle, but I made another girth. And there it is. Thank you for watching my video. Alright, see ya.